Hello and welcome back to Break Habits Not Horses. In today's video, we're going to take a look at early lunging problems with my two Mustangs, Mischief and Dodger. I like to start my horses out with an easy circling exercise to teach them what I want. I will hold my arm out in the direction I want Mischief to turn and give her a verbal cue to walk. If she doesn't respond in a few seconds, I will follow it with pressure from the whip to help direct her. I never have to hit her with the whip, I merely hold it out in front of me or wave it a little to ask her to move out. I can use it to push her shoulder or hindquarters away or add some energy to her walk. When I ask her to stop, I will lean towards her hindquarters and increase energy with the whip to ask her to yield away from me and face up. I don't like how close she came to me there, so a light tap is all I need to remind her to maintain social distancing. She needs to learn to maintain forward momentum until I ask her to stop, so I will wave the whip anytime she slows or hesitates. I do not want to have to continuously ask her to move forward, so she needs to keep up the pace on her own. Releasing pressure the second she decides to move forward is the key. And of course, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to give the horse a break and reinforcement through scratches when they are trying for us. Young horses get bored very quickly, and you will lose their focus if you ask for too much, and will be confused if they're getting the right answer but not getting a reward. Once I'm confident that she understands the circling exercise, I'm going to swap the lead for a lunge line and see if we can hold her attention on a larger circle. She's still cutting into my space, so I again am going to direct some whip energy towards her barrel to push her out, and she responds by stepping her inside leg farther under and moves out onto a bigger circle. She's doing okay at the walk, but we're going to see some more issues at the trot. This mare is always attempting to convince me that she is allergic to work. I'm going to give her a chance to choose the right direction without pulling on the line, so I keep slack and point with my left arm while stepping to the right of her drive line and increasing pressure by swinging the end of the line. She goes the other direction, so I take up the slack, tip her nose in the correct direction, and apply more pressure with the end of the line. She decides to get a little dramatic before agreeing to trot in the correct direction. I asked her to trot, so I am going to expect her to maintain it and reward only when she gives me the right answer, even if it is just a few strides. Unfortunately, she slows to a walk before I can reward, so I'm going to ask again for the trot. Mischief tells herself that bucking, kicking, and pulling away may get her out of doing work, but the rest of us know that this is not the correct answer. The best way to break this bad habit is to show her that trotting nicely and politely will get her a rest and reward. If I force her to trot and trot and trot when she offers the behavior, she will only become frustrated and act out even more. The next day, I'm going to again ask her to trot and expect her to hold the gait until I give her a cue to stop. Instead of asking her to trot from a walk, I'm asking for the trot from a standstill. I do not want her to get in the habit of always departing at a walk and easing into the trot. When I say to trot, it means now. This may seem harsh, but this helps to keep the instructions I give her clear and breaks up our cues into simple parts for her to work on one at a time. At first, I may have only asked for a few strides of trot before stopping and allowing her to rest, but as she's still giving me a good bit of sass, I won't release her until she decides to be polite. This is negative reinforcement, removing the hard work when she gives the correct answer. If I were to use positive punishment by getting after her or reacting harshly when she acts out, she would never learn what the correct answer is. She gave me 3/4 of a circle with no bucking or protest, so we will call it done for the day and allow her to think about it. I cool her down by keeping my energy low and asking for a calm, relaxed walk, and end the session. I like to remove her halter and release her to leave on her own so that she doesn't begin to associate certain spaces with work and gaits with escape from that work. I want my horses to work for me no matter where we are at, without pulling towards the exit. You might have also noticed I'm lunging in a very open space with no fences to keep her here. I'm avoiding holes in her training by working with both sides of this horse. In other words, I don't have a fence controlling one side of her. There are plenty of distractions and reasons for her to leave. but I know if I can keep her with me, that I'm not accidentally pushing her too far mentally. If I asked her to canter at this point, I would lose her completely and she would just pull away and be gone. This clip here is from day 3 of lunging. She's making considerable improvements and beginning to understand the rules of the game. She trots nicely for me, she gets to stop and rest. She stops to rest before being cued, she has to trot longer. This boot camp of sorts will help her to get in shape and begin to enjoy the workout, as she is pushed just far enough to get that endorphin release that makes exercise enjoyable. If I allow her to stop every time she gets tired, she will never enjoy the work. If I push her too far past her threshold, she will only become stressed, scared, and fatigued, and hate the work. I'm not terribly worried about her tail swishing. If you've never complained or cussed your trainer out, you're not working hard enough. So this is my process to help a more sedate horse, or one who's just reluctant or resistant to move out for you. Just lots of easy, short sessions with plenty of well-timed rests when they're giving you even the tiniest little try. Next, we're going to look at a horse with the opposite problem. He rushes and can't seem to relax and walk calmly on the lunge. While Mischief is reluctant and slow to go from a walk to a trot, Dodger is too quick to jump into a trot or canter, even when I keep my energy quite low. Sorry about the quality of this clip. It was getting dark, but I did want you guys to see his first lunging session. This is just to get a good picture of where this guy is at in his training. We have not worked on any circling or flexing, which I believe are such important steps to work on before asking a horse to bend and give to halter pressure on a line. And this shows here. He's extremely confused why I'm asking him to move away, while simultaneously preventing him from doing so. If your horse is pulling out on the lunge, instead of correcting the behavior, consider that he may not understand what you're asking. Day 2, we're going to work on teaching Dodger how to circle and understand what I'm asking of him. We start with a smaller circle, and I use just enough pressure to get him to walk calmly, and I do my best to maintain even contact with the line so that when he falls outside the circle, he must turn back towards me. He makes a more geometric shape like a hexagon instead of a circle, as he walks out straight, hits the end of the line, and angles back in. This is even more obvious at the trot, and we see more of his rushy energy and misunderstanding of how to hold the circle. Now I need to teach him to yield his hindquarters away, which will allow me to bring his forequarters back into the circle when he falls out, and make him change direction to prevent him from getting stuck in a linear path. He's not great at stopping yet, but asking for these fast changes will make him begin to pay more attention to what I'm asking. You can see that already he's starting to leave his nose tipped in towards me and follow a rounder path. Anytime he straightens, he runs out of rope and is made to change direction. His body's still stiff and off balance, we aren't getting enough bend, and he's not relaxing and using his back or hindquarters properly. I'll give you one guess what he needs to learn now. If you guess flexion, you would be correct. Now, I do need to say that poor Dodger's a bit on the anxious side, so I'm keeping these sessions very short and am asking for baby steps. Although his face shows the stress he's feeling, it is important to allow him to work through this and get the right answer so that he knows there is a simple solution. I'm very excited to finally be able to work with this guy, although I know it will be challenging for him to learn to relax both mentally and physically. When he moves his feet, I will just calmly follow him while making sure to not increase pressure or ask him to move away. The second he stops moving his feet and doesn't pull against the halter, I will release him. I ask him to flex once on the other side, which he's beginning to understand, so I call it quits and give him a much-deserved opportunity to relax and catch his breath. I hope this gave some insight into how I handled two entirely different lunging problems. One horse reluctant, one horse rushy. If you would like to follow their progress, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other videos.